Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Just Because Wrestling, and we're doing 3 weeks in a row. We made it.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're starting to get this shit sorted now. So I think we're over the hill in terms of inconsistency.
Yeah, back to routine. Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time listening. And we are we're post AEW Full Gear. So we're going to be talking about everything Full Gear and also everything in relation to all wrestling news. Everything. We'll cover everything, or as much as we can remember anyway, because we're so good at this that we literally do it off the top of our head. So I suppose we'll talk about Full Gear first. Or is there anything you want to address first before we talk about that?
You make it sound like that was pre-planned, as if I had something to announce or something. I've nothing to announce. You just got people excited for no reason.
Oh well, you might have. I don't know.
What the hell do I have to announce? If I had something to announce, I'd tell you. That would be a group discussion.
Oh God. Okay, fine.
Just building off for disappointment. You're like it's like that. It's like that thing AEW were like hyping up an announcement, and it was. What was the announcement again? It was something stupid.
It was a show in Jacksonville.
Yeah, there you go. So
a Dynamite in Jacksonville on New Year's Day.
So hype maintenance is key. So don't be throwing to me for something I don't have.
I was just asking a question. So anyway, let's talk about Full Gear. Obviously, AEW's the latest pay-per-view in AEW's fledgling year. And it was last Saturday, and it was pretty good. It kind of like I love AEW pay-per-views in the sense that they typically have something for everyone on their pay-per-views. That like there's always like a really great technical match. There's a really great tag team match. There's a really great like storytelling match. There's a really great hardcore match. Like there's kind of something for everyone in that sense, you know, and that's one of the great things about the company. And that was the story here again with Full Gear. There was kind of something for everyone.
Yeah, and that's I think it's the most inclusive wrestling show so far. It's very consistent in that sense that they're very inclusive towards all wrestling, and it's not just their brand of wrestling and you like it or lump it. Like, you know, they're trying to include everyone, and I think that is something that's positive with AEW. Oh,
absolutely, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I suppose we'll run down the card. I'm pretty sure first we got B Priestley versus Britt Baker, the lone pre-show match, and pretty decent match. I mean, nothing special, nothing that's going to set the world on fire or anything, but you know, it's still pretty good. They're two very good wrestlers, and they put on a really good match. I'm assuming this was the blow off to their feud that's been going back to, I think, Double or Nothing, or it's been going on a while anyway. This feud
since the Casino Battle Royal, isn't it?
Well, no, because the first one was all men.
No, but I'm saying since the women's Casino Battle Royal.
No, it started before that.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not sure when it started exactly. I know the whole point of it was at Fight for the Fallen, B Priestley accidentally. Well, in the storyline, they put it up that she was unsafe, but in reality, she accidentally hurt Britt Baker in the match, giving her a concussion.
I don't get the whole thing of storyline. Like in storyline, she's billed as unsafe. You know, like in storyline, it's meant to be a fight. Yeah,
exactly. I didn't get it either. I thought it was kind of, but
like it's too smarky. I think doing stuff like that.
There's kind of I know. There's referencing the third wall, and then there's like
full on breaking it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like saying like, oh, you know, she's reckless in the ring and stuff like that. I was like, well, good. That's probably a good thing to be in the ring in kayfabe. The match was had a pretty decent match. Britt Baker picks up the win with the lockjaw submission, making B Priestley tap out. But kind of what was the main story after was what happened after the match, and the lights went down, and there was like these candles up on the screen, and next thing, Awesome Kong and Brandy Rhodes appeared on the ramp. New music, which I found weird because the kind of only lyric in the song was "There's 8 million ways to die, choose one," and I'm like, is that true? Is that like a statistic that someone's worked out, or is there genuinely
they just hired a statistician to count all the ways that people have died?
I don't get that. Like, how is there 8 million ways to die?
I could not tell you, to be honest with
I'm
you.
not sure. I thought that was silly. They should take that out. But Awesome Kong rocking some new gear that had a lot of people confused at first, but what happened then later in the ring, it became apparent what it was. Awesome Kong hits Bea Priestley with her finisher. I can't remember what it's called, but she hits her with the finisher and then whips out a knife. And I think everyone collectively kind of went, oh no. And everyone thought that like something really dangerous or really dumb was about to happen, but it was relatively harmless. Awesome Kong cuts off a piece of Bea Priestley's hair and sticks it in her belt, which has these other long strands of hair apparently. And it's like Awesome Kong is this hunter woman who is collecting scalps metaphorically. And then Brandy is like, I don't know what Brandy is. Brandy's like a witch or like a I'm not sure what Brandy's gimmick's meant to be, but yeah, I mean it's intriguing. I'm a little worried for it though. Personally, I don't think this has any legs to it. I think that it's like, I mean, it'll be fine for a bit, like, you know, it'll be fine, but like, yeah.
I don't know. They really need to start figuring out Brandy's character, because I'm glad that they've kind of got her away from Cody and separated that, but like in the promotional packages and stuff, when she's with Cody, she's a babyface, and then then she's a heel. Like it's a bit like, you know, when Triple H jumps from like NXT to WWE and he's heel and babyface. You just don't know which Brandy you're gonna get, and I think that needs to be established.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna do that, especially like when Cody is the biggest babyface in AEW, like you can't have, like, fair enough if they just don't, if they just aren't around each other or there's not, you know, interacting with each other at all. But like you said, like, don't have her appear in video packages, like being like, oh, my husband is so focused and I love him so much, and then like, you know, it just it shows, if anything, it proves that Cody is an incredibly poor sense of character, because which we'll get to later on, but like he
poor judgment of character in kayfabe. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant like as in like as a booker.
No.
Because I was thinking his character is probably one of the strongest characters in wrestling at the moment. But no, I got what you were saying.
No, in kayfabe, like his personal relations, he seems to be very.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah, which we'll address later on. But so yeah, that was the pre-show. I mean, nothing overly exciting, but you know, at least there was like storyline development, which you like to see.
There's one thing I want to talk about, because I don't know if you've seen this, but it's caused a bit of a controversy during the week about AEW's women's division. It was something that Jim Cornette said, and he said that he said that that AEW's women's division is it. Actually, I'm wronging. It wasn't him. It was his co-host that said it. It was Brian Last, who is the co-host on the Jim Cornette podcast, said, and it caused a bit of controversy during the week, that AEW's women's division like isn't strong enough, and he reckons that they should just scrap their women's division. He said they don't have the in-depth talent for it, and they should wait until they do. I don't know if I agree. I just wanted your take on that.
I think that's silly. I think it's like, I don't get what he means by like wait for
is like a crop of better talent to come like as a free agent, someone like a Tessa Blanchard or something.
No, I don't agree with that in the slightest, because I think like if you have like if you can sign these people, like you can help them grow and develop. And like, I mean, it's not like they've hired like people to complete newbies. Like they've hired the likes of Awesome Kong and Riho and who else is there? Penelope Ford and women who have been wrestling like ages. Like women who've like Aja Kong is there and Emi Sakura is there. Like women who are wrestling a long time.
And there's like someone you mentioned her, which is interesting. A Penelope Ford who isn't getting the TV time at the moment, but Penelope Ford could be argued that she's one of the best workers in the world. Like not even just within women, just within the world of men and women. Like she is a fantastic worker, and she is someone that like they need to showcase more. I feel because she is fantastic.
I think it's genuinely like it's. I think this what's his name? Brian Last.
Brian Last. Yeah.
I think he genuinely the way he said that now makes me feel like he has no idea who anyone in the women's division in AEW is. Like he only watches like Raw and SmackDown and knows like Becky Lynch.
Well, there's part of that to it too. But he named names like a Tessa Blanchard and stuff that they should maybe hold off and wait until she becomes available and stuff like that. Now, they did mention and Jim Cornette has kind of agreed with the sense that the women's division, they haven't done a good job in the sense of promoting it. Like we don't know who the Japanese talent are and stuff like that. It's
I know, but we are learning.
We don't know what their characters are and stuff, which I kind of agree with, to a sense.
I kind of sort of understand.
I don't advocate for them to scrap the women's division because I do think there's legs to it.
Like, I think some of them are obvious. Like Emi Sakura is a Freddie Mercury mark. That's her gimmick. That she's just a massive Freddie Mercury fan.
Yeah.
Yuka Sakazaki is like a genie. I think that's her gimmick. That she's like kind of like she's I think she's a genie. Then you got Riho, who is just someone who's like really, really happy. And she's kind of like this, I suppose it's kind of like, it's hard to describe Riho's gimmick, but I know I kind of understand her character, but I can't describe it in words, if you know what I mean. Like, she's like this innocent girl, but who's like really good at defending herself or something. I don't know. It's, and like, especially Riho, who, for a lot of people would be unknown, like she'd be relatively unknown to a general audience, and then she comes in, she's crowned the first ever AEW Women's Champion, and she is testing through the roof with like young women, like young teenagers and stuff like that, young female teenagers. Apparently, she is a hit with them. They just relate to her for some reason. This now is according to Meltzer, like, so take out,
yeah.
But no, I think it's we live in a day and age now where it's like, I mean, you can argue it all the time, and you can argue it for any company in the world that like, oh, what's this person's character or what's this person's gimmick? Like, I think it's hard for every single wrestler to have a unique individual gimmick.
I understand that. Yeah, I do understand that. But,
and like you risk running back to like the 90s or the mid 90s where we had like every wrestler had like some sort of had like a nighttime job as a policeman or a garbage.
No, I do get that, but I like I don't know, like their matches just all their kind of gimmicks seem to cross over as well. There's nothing really unique about some of their characters, and like especially the Japanese talent, I think they're all just lumped in as good wrestlers. You know, like
you can make the argument as well, like that because we don't belong to an Eastern culture that we don't understand.
Oh, I get that, but
no.
But who are you marketing to here? Like, you know, we are the target market. So if we're not understanding it, then maybe that's not what you should be focusing on for now. You know.
Well, I think Kenny Omega's in charge of the women's division, and I think he's done a wonderful job so far. I think like I don't care. Me personally, I don't care that like the Japanese wrestlers are come in and they're all you can make the argument that their characters aren't distinguishable enough from each other. Like I know which one's which. I know who's who, and I enjoy their matches. So I'm happy. So that's one out of millions. So I like you. I genuinely don't. I don't see the issue in that sense. Like I think like I know who Rio is. I know who Yuka Sakazaki is. I know who Karu Shida is. I know who Aji Kong is. If you put them all on the line, I can tell you who's who. And like, yeah, I mean, like just because they don't have over the top mega gimmicks, like I still know who they are and I still enjoy watching them wrestle. Like Riho and Emi Sakura had probably the best technical match of the night for Full Gear, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. Next thing, we'll go to the main card, and it is the first match of the night is one that I was actually surprised to see open, but I was glad it opened too. I felt like it was actually a good way to open the card, and it was the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz, newly christened as Proud and Powerful, and I mean, just like this is pretty much what you expected from a tag team match with these two. Plus, they were given like 20 minutes, so like it was a really good match. Not my favorite match of either team's career by far, but
yeah. I think I what was it? Where was I going just now? I think I liked that the fact that it opened the card, because I think where else would you put it? I think when you break it down, you want to keep it away from the other tag match. You want to kind of separate them, and I think it shouldn't go on after the tag title match. So I thought opening the card made a lot of sense. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a very technical match. I agree that it's not the best match. I think they could have had a better match, and I think they will have a better match sometime down the line. Like if we're just skipping forward to the end and stuff, like that'd be the one gripe I had. I don't think it helps anyone. Like the Young Bucks lost. Like it was this huge win for LAX, and then they ended up getting beaten by, like, let's face it, two old men. Like they get beaten up. Yeah, so like, you have this big tag team who were this dominating tag team in TNA in Santana and Ortiz. What was their name? What's their team name?
Proud and Powerful.
Proud and Powerful. I don't really like the name either. I think
not a fan of the name either, but they're calling him PNP on commentary, which is better. Like it's snappier. Like it's the same with LAX. Like no one was going to call him the Latin American Exchange.
Oh no, I get that, but I think
I wish they could keep LAX, because LAX was a really cool name.
Yeah, unfortunately, Impact owns that, but is it Conan that owns it? Is it?
Not sure. I have a feeling it might be.
Okay, fair enough. Someone owns it anyway. That means they can't.
AEW don't. That's the point.
But going back to my point, I think it benefits no one. Like it doesn't benefit the Young Bucks because they lost, and then it doesn't benefit LAX because they won, but it was overshadowed by them getting beaten up at the end. I just don't get that. Who does that match benefit? And that's why I think they could have had a better match, because I think the ending was a bit, I don't know. It just seemed like a cop out. If you're gonna go with LAX, like I just think they chose popping their crowd with having the Rock and Roll Express come in over structure and what made sense, and what will progress further. I think they choose popping the crowd short term over long term booking. It just makes the Dark Order, or not the Dark Order. I keep calling it the Dark Order. It makes the Inner Circle look weak. It makes the Young Bucks look weak, and it makes LA or Proud and Powerful look weak. So yeah, I didn't like the finish.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like I'm not a big fan really of legends being used in that capacity. Like I don't mind legends coming in and like beating up like a jobber or like a heel jobber or something or something like that. I don't mind that, but like when they're a new tag, like not a new tag team, but like one of the hottest tag teams in the world, and they're on the up and up, and they've just beaten like arguably the best tag team in the world. Like it doesn't look great, no. And
yeah, it felt very indie show-ish, something like that would happen with PWG, or in PWG or something. But the thing with PWG is there's no structured storylines per se and stuff like that. Like what's going to happen? What's next for Santana and Ortiz and stuff like that? Like at the Indies, you can get beat up by these old men and like move on and take another booking date, and people, because only 100 or something people would have saw it in the arena because it's not televised. But I think on national television, this and on pay-per-view especially, I think stuff like this should not be happening.
Like unless they are going to do Proud and Powerful versus the Rock and Roll Express, because
the Rock and Roll Express are still signed with the NWA. I don't know how that works, but they're the NWA tag champions, so I would imagine that's not the way they're doing it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess yeah, I suppose I'll have to wait and see if there is development in it. I do have the feeling there won't be. I
think this is it for the Rock and Roll Express, and it didn't make sense to me. I thought it was a very indie show, and I think that's one thing that I could say about I could criticize about AEW is that sometimes they still have that small show mentality, in the sense that they still. So I think some people still think that they're working on shows where 100 people will see, not knowing that the impact it will have later on, because
they only care about popping the crowd and
yeah. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at, and I don't know. I just think I don't know. I think it's the problem with having wrestlers wrestlers and wrestlers only booking as well, in the sense that and especially wrestlers that never worked in a big company like WWE. I know Cody has, but I'm imagining this booking was the Young Bucks' call, because it just had the Young Bucks' creativity written all over it. So I feel, I don't know. I feel someone needs to be there, and I don't. From what I've heard and what I've read about Tony Khan, I don't think he's the guy who's to tell him no.
It could have been his idea. We don't know.
Nah, I don't think he's that creative, to be honest with you. Dude came up with the fucking librarian and thought it was a good idea. So but do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I do think that it's very indie, and like that. I think AEW, it's a company. Obviously, again, Cody worked at WWE for years, and kind of learned his trade under the
and you can tell he is a lot, because you can tell by his storylines especially,
exactly,
that he is a lot more of a structured booker, because he's come from that background, I feel.
Obviously the Bucks have made their name on the independent scene, and have wrestled in every venue you can imagine, from massive stadiums to tiny bingo halls, and and it's probably the main criticism that the Young Bucks face on a day-to-day, that they're spot monkeys, and that they don't tell stories in their
Yeah, I'm not a person. I'm not like in that mind of thinking that the Young Bucks don't have psychology, because I think they have. I think they've told storylines in the past where they have, but I think tonight just adds fuel for those people who claim that they don't have psychology, because this had no thought process behind it.
Yeah, Jim Cornette.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
So yeah, but look, fair play to Ricky Martin, because he did.
That was fucking impressive. You know, as much as you can say about, you know, like it made no sense. You know, seeing Ricky Martin do a Canadian destroyer is still impressive.
And the suicide dive.
The suicide dive as well, yeah.
And it was perfect. It was like so straight. It was class. But look, like that, we are horrible, disgusting, filthy marks who pop for it all the same, and we sit back and criticize it, even though we secretly enjoyed it anyway. Yeah. But anyway, look, we'll move on. Good match. Not the best match, but still solid match. Next up, it was Hangman Page versus Pac. Another match we've been waiting months for. Because of course this was the match we were meant to get at Double or Nothing, AEW's inaugural pay-per-view, but of course it didn't happen due to Pac, the contract disputes with Dragon Gate, and you know it's a bit murky. We're not entirely sure what happened, but anyway, it was Pac couldn't do it, and Pac had to pull out. But we got the match anyway in the end. Well, we got it first on Dynamite, of course, with Pac getting the win, but we got the rematch and the pay-per-view match and the match that kind of spawned the whole Full Gear thing. Here, so Hangman versus Pac, and again, a really good match. Like I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought it was great. Like I love Pac. I think Pac is genuinely in the top 10 workers in the world, possibly top 5. You know, and like Hangman, I love watching Hangman because I think AEW, watching Hangman over the next few years, I think is going to be exceptional, because he is going to slowly become like one of the best wrestlers in the world as well. I think he's slowly going to start to, like, you forget how young he is. I think he's still only like 28 or 27 or 28, which is very young in like wrestling terms nowadays. And like, I think he's just going to slowly start to like just really become and like take that spot as like the top guy of the company. And like he's someone that like everyone's had their eye on for since he joined the Bullet Club, I say. And like again, like I said, really good match. They do have a great chemistry together, Hangman and Pac, and it worked really well. Some really creative spots as well, like the fall away slam from the top rope was class, because Pac literally flew across the ring. I loved the spot where Hangman set up for the Deadeye, and then Pac locked in the Brutalizer from the Deadeye. Yeah. And like, it looked like Hangman was going to pass out again, but he fell into the ropes, and that had to break the hold. That was class. But the end comes, of course, with like a big sequence of moves. Hangman avoids the Black Arrow, hits a buckshot lariat, followed up with a Deadeye 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page gets the win over Pac, which I think was the right result.
Pac's first. What did you say? You said you didn't think it was the right result.
No, I thought it was. I thought it was the right result.
Oh yeah, Pac's first loss second loss in since he left WWE, I believe.
Well, it's his first singles loss, yeah, I think, yeah.
No, he lost the Dragon Gate title.
Second singles loss, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
He has lost matches. Well, he's lost matches like by DQ and stuff.
Yeah, second pinfall loss, let's say.
Second time being pinned, let's say, yeah. So watch it.
I thought it was a very good match. I thought that, again, like you said, everything you said, they worked very well together. I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that I thought Pac should have won. I think Pac should have won because you could then tell the story of Hangman, like, he's out of form, he's on a decline, and you could have possibly done stuff with that. Plus, I think I would have liked to have seen Pac Pac's momentum continue. He had a huge win with Kenny Omega, over Kenny Omega. He made him tap, which seems to be forgotten about now. I think there wasn't half a big a deal made about that than there should have been.
Well, he didn't tap. Like he passed it.
He made him pass it, but still, that was still a huge win. I think they should have made a bigger deal of that, and I thought that they were going Jericho Pac next. I don't know. There's still the blow off match. They're rematching or the rubber matches on Dynamite this week, so they could still do it. Pac and Hangman, yes.
Oh, is that announced for? Is that on for? I didn't know that was announced.
Yeah, Tony Khan announced it in the scrum. I don't think they've officially announced it on Twitter, but he said that that's what's happening in the media scrum. So the rubber match is happening on Dynamite tomorrow, as the day of our taping. So maybe Pac gets his win back, but then you're opening yourself up for 50-50 booking and all that. Then, if that's the case, so.
I'm not. I don't agree with the sense of like you could certainly make an argument for Pac winning, definitely, and like I would have been happy with either or winning, but I don't agree with the telling the story that Hangman's on a decline, because
not a decline. I would tell the story that he's out of form, not a decline.
That's what I mean. Like he's in a slump or like whatever. But like then you have two members of the Elite who are running similar storylines, because you could say the same for Kenny, that Kenny's on a current run of bad form, and
that's the thing. Then so, that does make sense then in that sense. But I just think Pac should have won. Right? Like you don't have to tell that story about Hangman, but I just think Pac should have won.
No, you don't. But I like that. No, I genuinely like that Hangman won. I think from this, like Pac is great, because Pac can just go bloody psycho and just bloody like just go crazy on Dynamite, whatever. Like, and like you said, he could get his win back, but then you risk 50-50 booking, or 50-50 booking rather. And I mean it is a tricky one, but like
because I'll put it to you this way, I like. Who, like Cody's going feuding with MJF. We're skipping ahead now, but he's going in a feud with MJF now. One could only assume.
Yeah.
Who's there to challenge for the AEW title? Because like you could say Moxley, but then you're like the whole storyline with him in his Kenny Omega thing is that the match doesn't really count. So you're sacrificing that storyline then. So I thought that it was going to be Pac, because Pac was the only other viable challenger, I thought, and now that he lost, I was just a bit dejected from that.
Well, I suppose if you go off the rankings, if they're going to use their ranking system, I think when they released him, Cody, like obviously Jericho's the champion, so Cody was number one contender. Then it was Pac, then it was Hangman, then it was Kenny, and then it was Moxley. So I think it's like, if you kind of do the maths from what happened, like Mox is going to be up a space to one, or up a space to like up one space. Hangman and Pac will presumably swap places, unless depending on the match on Wednesday, and Cody is out of action until further notice, so he's presumably going to fall out of the rankings. So by my
so is Kenny apparently.
Yeah. So as per my calculations, Hangman should be number one contender.
But then do you do Hangman Jericho again?
I don't know. Like, this is the tricky thing about having like a ranking system and like win-loss records, and like, because you have your number one contender who's on an incredible run of form, and then gets to the main event and loses. Like, do you have him go on a massive losing streak then?
Yeah, does it become rinse repeat in that stage then,
No, exactly, yeah. That's the kind of tricky thing about it. I personally don't think the win-loss record thing is going to last like forever. I think like it could last maybe till next year, and then like the beginning of AEW's second year, say, like whenever they decide to kind of begin the records again, I think they might call it off.
Yeah, like, I think it's a unique concept, but I don't think the concept works in the world of pro wrestling.
Because people are competing too much, you know.
Yeah. I stand in UFC when they fight 3 times a year.
Yeah, exactly. So. If I was like judging off rankings and whatever, I think like it looks like Hangman is up for a title shot again. But if I'm going to guess, I'm going to go with my gut. I think Moxley will end up with the next shot. Like I know that they made a big deal out of the unsanctioned match doesn't count, and no matter the result, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. I think like he could come out and like threaten to beat up a ref or threaten to beat up like Justin Roberts or something, just to be like, you know, make me number 1 contender, or like this man's blood will be on your hands again. This man's blood will be on your hands as well, or something like that. You know, I think there's ways to get around it, like as is anything. Like, but you know, I don't think that. Plus, this is wrestling. Like, who really abides by the rules? Like,
I know.
So yeah, Hangman Pac, great match. And Hangman gets the big victory. Next up was one of the more kind of less talked about matches on the card because it didn't have much build. It had only a few days build. It was Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard taking on Joey Janela. This is actually the shortest match of the card. It went just under 8 minutes, I think, which made it the shortest match of the card, including the pre-show. And but still, I thought it was an enjoyable card, or an enjoyable match rather.
I thought it was good too. I thought what they had, they worked well. So
yeah, and I love that Joey Janela still, like, even when there's no stipulation on the match, he finds a way to do something that looks like it really hurts him.
Yeah,
like he did that big dive off the top rope to the outside and just bloody bounced off the floor, which was lovely. Yeah. But the finish comes when the referee gets distracted with by Shawn Spears taking off the turnbuckle. The ref goes to put it back on. This leads to an assisted spike pile driver on the outside from Spears with Blanchard. Janela gets thrown back in the ring. Death Valley driver. 1, 2, 3. Shawn Spears get the win, which I think was the right call as well. I think Shawn Spears.
I do too. Shawn Spears needs the win.
He does. Yeah. Joey Janela is this guy who can eat losses and be fine. You know.
Yeah. I thought they got this one right. So hats off to them for that.
And I also big ups for the Montreal Screwjob reference because it happened on the anniversary of the Screwjob, and Earl Hebner was the referee for this match. So Shawn Spears locking in a sharpshooter on Janela was I laughed at it. I thought it was funny. After the match, we got some storyline development with there's a backstage interview with Kip Sabian, who is now fully heel. He turned heel recently on Dynamite, or it might have been AEW Dark. I can't remember, but Kip Sabian's doing an interview, and he's like, atypical heel interview, and then Penelope Ford comes along, and it looks like they're in item now. And she says the line, "Why be bad when you can be super bad?" which is, of course, Kip Sabian's nickname. And obviously, there's history between Penelope Ford and Joey Janela. And this video package happened as Janela was being assisted up the ramp by the referees. So,
what happened to them? That was never clear. Like, that was never a thing on television, was it?
I think no, not since all in. But I think what happened was Janela got signed, and then like they didn't sign Penelope Ford till like months later, and like it was after like Janela had been on screen and stuff, and rather than just bring her in and put her with him, he seemed to be doing fine by himself anyway. So
as far as I know, they were together in real life, weren't they?
I think so, yeah. But I could have.
Are they still together? Do you know? Or
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it looks like we're getting a feud between Kip Sabian and Joey Janela, which should be fun because Joey Janela is great. and Kip Sabian is a really good talent. Like he's another guy who I think like the likes of like Hangman Page. Like there's a big list of like guys who I think like are slowly going to come into their own in AEW and like take wrestling by storm. Like Hangman Page is one, MJF is one, Jungle Boy is one, Kip Sabian is one, and Sammy Guevara is one. Like I think these guys, like the younger generation, who at the moment are like kind of being subsided by the likes of Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes, and John Moxley, the established names. I think.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't lump MJF into that bracket. I think he's already there. I think he's already a star.
I think like in the next 5 years, MJF is going to be like probably the top heel in wrestling. Like I think
you can make the argument that he is now.
I wouldn't say no because obviously it's hard to kind of.
But who would you think gets bigger reactions than him though as a heel? I'm gonna put you on the spot now because I think he's second to none at the moment.
Genuinely, first person that came to mind was Zach Gibson.
Yeah, you could say Zach Gibson, but then you could also argue that the British crowds are always an already vocal crowd.
Yeah, but that's just a non-factor, though, is it? You can't base it off like whoever they're performing in front of, like, because
Well, you can because you could put anyone in England.
Yeah, but there's fantastic heels in Japan and stuff where they're not allowed to stand up or anything or even make. So like I think Chris Jericho's up there. I think Chris Jericho's up there at the moment for one of the best heels in wrestling because like. But he's kind of different because he's like is he a pure heel? Like I mean, he still gets cheered and he still gets laughs and stuff like, and he's more funny than like evil, is he? So like,
and I think Jericho's gotten to a point in his career where it is hard to hate him because he's been around for so long. He's Chris Jericho, and he's still at the age that he's at. He's still putting on probably some of the best performances like on the microphone and in the ring of his career. So,
everything he says turns into a t-shirt. So yeah. No, but like fair enough. Yeah, like I mean, it's hard to argue against MJF. I mean, he is up there. Like, David Starr is up there as well. I think David Starr will be up there for me as well.
Is he a heel though?
Is he? I don't know. Is he now? Is he not anymore?
He's the OTT champion, and he seems to be a babyface there now.
Like he's a guy now. He's a guy as well who depends. It depends on the political views of the crowd that like will determine.
Yeah.
Who their face. But anyway, that's probably a discussion for another day. So yeah, that we had that match. Sean Spears gets the victory. Next up, we had the triple threat match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We had the champions. SCU, Scorpio Sky and Frank Kazarian versus the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, and Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. This was a really fun match. Like I love like this kind of match. I love these multi-man tag team matches where like it's just chaotic and it's just like big spots and like it's hard to tell who's legal, but you don't really care because you're having so much fun anyway. And like big shout out to Phoenix because he excels in these types of matches. Every time there's one of these matches, he comes out with these mental dives that like don't even make sense and like but you're witnessing it but you can't understand what you're witnessing. And really fun match, really good match. Finish comes with SCU hitting the SCU later on I think it was Isaiah Cassidy.
Yeah.
I think it was. I could be wrong though. 1, 2, 3, they get the victory. Then the Lucha Brothers run into the ring for a post-match beating up SCU. Next thing, the lights go down. Everyone's like, oh, what's this? The lights go back up and there's a second Pentagon in the ring, like facing off with the original Pentagon. And like, okay, I just want to say this first off, right? I just want to say this like straight up. I was reading people's reactions on Twitter. I saw people's live reactions. And people were like, "Oh my god!" Like even like from the minute the lights went out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, who is it? Who could it be?" And when the lights came back up, and it was like a second Pentagon. People were like, "Oh my god, who's under the mask? Who is that?" I was like, "It's quite obviously Christopher Daniels. Like, like who
How
else would it be?"
stupid can you be?
Yeah, I was like, "Who else could it be?"
It's not gonna be CM Punk, like.
Like his body is the exact same. His like it looks like Christopher Daniels in a Pentagon costume.
Yeah.
And so anyway, yeah, he unmasks his it's not Pentagon, it's Christopher Daniels. He hits the Angel's wing, and that was the thing as well. He hits like the in Uranagi and the Angel's wings, and people were still like, "Who could that be?" And it's like he just hit his finisher.
Yeah.
He hits the Angel's wings on Pentagon, and next the Lucha Brothers are left with their tails between their legs, and then Daniels takes off his mask, revealing who it is, and he's shouting after the Lucha Brothers, "Let's finish this!" So we might get it on Dynamite tomorrow night, the culmination of this feud between SCU and the Lucha Brothers, and judging by the way they were talking, it looks like we'll get some sort of 6-man tag, because all 3 members of SCU are there now. But yeah, what do you think of the match and the angle afterwards, the return?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I've nothing to complain about. I thought it was solid all the way around. I think again, Private Party are showing like how much potential they have with them.
They're another one. They're another one you could add to that list of like people who are going to like come into their own in AEW. Like,
yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah, it is an interesting one. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic match.
I saw a thing there actually, and I wanted to ask you about it because I saw someone ask on Twitter like who do you think will be the first tag team in AEW to go through like the big tag team breakout / like feud afterwards? And like the most common answer I could find was Best Friends, because like obviously they're called Best Friends, so it's even more impactful if they break up. Plus, like Chuck Taylor's a really good heel, so like like I mean obviously we can't. Not sure which one's going to do it, but like it would make sense in that sense to have Chuck Taylor turn heel. But like I was thinking about it, and like I want the Lucha Brothers to be the first one to do it, because like Pentagon is an amazing heel, and Phoenix is an amazing babyface, and like the two of them when they have matches together, like I've seen matches between the two of them in like Lucha Underground and AAA and stuff, and they are bloody class when they wrestle each other.
Yeah.
Especially when Pentagon goes like evil and becomes like Pentagon Dark and stuff. Like he is class as a heel.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think it depends on what the whole AAA situation is. I would imagine they would have a say if the Lucha Brothers break up. So I don't know if it's possible, but by all means, it'd be something that I'd love to see as well.
Yeah.
In terms of breakups, I'm not sure. You could always have one of SCU turn because there's 3 of them, so you could have one turn on 2. And still keep.
If you have to turn one, who would you turn?
Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he is the one has more longevity, and you can tell the story that he just used 2 of these veterans to learn the tricks of the trade, and then once he got like too big for his boots, he dropped them. Yeah,
I think genuinely he could be a breakout single star. Like every time he like goes on a bit of a
he's a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah, he is like. It's mad he only kind of gained like notoriety in the last like 2 years, like when they formed the stable, like because like I hadn't heard of him until he formed SCU, or they formed SCU.
Well, unfortunately, he kind of had a sour taste with people because he was like WWE had to stop using him as Daryl or whatever because of tweets that he had put out about transphobic or like transgenders and stuff. So I think, yeah, and I think a lot of people. It took a while for him to come back from that, I feel, and but I think he has. It was something that he actually addressed in an interview I saw a week or so, and like it was just something. It was one of those situations that he was very young when he tweeted it, and like it was one of those like regretful situations. But he has recovered from it, and I feel like his I think his views have changed and stuff because I like people have asked Sonny Kiss about him and stuff, and like Sonny Kiss has had nothing but good things to say about Scorpio Sky. So but yeah, I feel that's probably what the best explanation as to why Scorpio Sky took so long to break out was because people probably had that bad taste in his mouth over that incident. But
that makes sense, I suppose.
Nevertheless, he is a fantastic wrestler.
Definitely
getting the recognition he deserves now.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up was a match we've already alluded to. It was the AEW. Am I skipping a match? I'm trying to think.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
No.
It was the AEW.
Oh no, the women's match. The women's match. Oh, is that what you're getting? Is that what you're getting to now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to get to the world title match. Yeah, come on.
Oh no, I'm talking about the women's match. So it was the AEW women's title match between the champion Riho and the challenger Emi Sakura. Who the whole storyline here was teacher versus student. Emi Sakura helped train Riho, and now Riho is the champion and defending their title against her former mentor. And like this match was like nothing crazy at the start, but then it literally, as the match progressed, it kicked into another gear and another gear and another gear until it was in full gear, I suppose you could use. And it just got absolutely incredible with chain wrestling and counters, and it was wonderful to watch. And like you could say, see, it was kind of tricky, right? Because Emi Sakura is like, her whole thing is like she's a massive queen mark or Freddie Mercury mark, whatever, but she comes out dressed as Freddie Mercury and she does like the chants, she does like the AO chants and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Tries to get the crowd to do it back to her, but she's always teaming with heels. So like, no, everyone is she a heel or is she meant to be a heel, or like what's the story?
What's heelish about Freddie Mercury? Like everyone loves him.
Everyone loves Freddie Mercury. Everyone loves Queen. But no, she was like firmly established as a babyface in this match. But yeah, no, it was a really good match. Riho gets the win, which is the right decision. I actually really like Riho, and I've come to like really like enjoy her work in AEW. I think her matches are great. I love that she wins with like roll-ups all the time. That because she's so small, she has to like find these like intuitive ways to win. Yeah. And like I really like that.
I feel like that luck's gonna run out soon, though. I think that's the way they're telling that story. That
she can only come up with so many counters, kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I think it'll be Awesome Kong who'll take the title from her.
Oh no, that'll be such a murder.
And I think that's the way they're going, and I think that makes sense because
no, I mean it does make sense. I don't want her to lose. I actually really like her. I really do.
It mightn't be for another. Well, yeah, but that means they're doing their job right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no.
So
Awesome Kong's got a knife now. Take her beauty.
But yeah, no, it was a good match. I did enjoy it. Like. There's very solid, but it was good. That's pretty much all I have on that one.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, we talked about it already, but next up is one of the two more talked about matches coming out of Full Gear. It's hard to say which one was more talked about, but It was the AEW World Championship match. AEW World Champion Chris Jericho defending his title against Cody Rhodes. And yeah, bloody hell. First off, I just want to ask you, did you think it was good?
Yes, I did. I think it could have been better, but I think that's through no fault of theirs. I think the injury to Cody very early on didn't help the match. But no, I thought the way they worked, like I don't know. I think with Chris Jericho's age and Cody, like, is always a brilliant storyteller, but not the best worker in the ring. But he gets away with it because he's such a brilliant storyteller. That it was how the match went how I expected it to go, in terms of in-ring action.
See, because they brought out this rule that, like, if it goes 60 minutes, we'll go to a judge's decision. I was like fully in my head preparing for this to go 60 minutes. And like, I was like, oh, I don't think this will be good. I don't think this will be very good if it goes 60 minutes. And like, how much can it, like, because Jericho, like, because you said, like, Jericho isn't a spring chicken anymore, and Cody has never been the best in the ring. Like, he's good in the ring, but he's not like Kenny Omega, like that was the whole point. Like, and so I was like, how good could this really be if it goes an hour? Like, it's you're not Okada and Omega. You can't like I don't know. I was very, very worried.
I won't mind that if they're consistent now with the judges, because Tony Khan said that they'll look to keep the judges for the match, for the title matches, but he didn't confirm it either that they're definitely going to be. He said, yeah, we've looked at that, we're looking at that possibility.
Yeah.
But like, I hope they're consistent with it, because
if they brought them there just to have like a pop for like three legends, then like it's another inconsistency with them. But
and I also think, like, I did like the little story that they told with Jericho and Dean Malenko. But like, in kayfabe, if I was Chris Jericho, I'd feel very hard done by, in the sense that you got Dean Malenko as one of your judges.
No, but I actually loved the selection of the judges. Like, I love that like Malenko was there because of the Jericho storyline, and I love that Arn Anderson was one because of his history with the Rhodes family. And like, obviously, like, just seeing the Great Muda there was just the best thing ever.
Well, yeah, but you have to be very careful with that, in the sense that, especially with Dean Malenko, that it kind of gave sympathy to Chris Jericho, and I shouldn't be feeling sympathy to Chris Jericho, because he's like, this guy is one of my biggest rivals. Why would I ever? Like, he's going to be or biased or whatever. It just, if they were going telling that story, maybe they should have gotten someone in Cody's past, like a Nick Aldis or fucking
Ted DiBiase Jr.
But, well, that could have been one. Like, you could have easily done Ted DiBiase Jr. Like someone, or someone like that. Like, I just thought it gave sympathy to Jericho when you didn't need it.
Joe, they should have gotten Bob Holly. Bob Holly.
Yeah, I don't think they want to associate with him, really.
All right, fair enough. I'm just trying to think of guys who are available. But what's I going to say? But anyway, like, back to my point. Like, I actually thought this match was really good, because my expectations for it were quite low. Like, not because I did think it was going to be good, but I thought it would just be a bit of a slog. I thought it was going to be a bit of a long-winded effort just to get to the hour and go to the whole drama of the judge's decision, but it wasn't, and I was happy. Happy it didn't, and instead we got a really good match. Obviously, Cody took that like horrendous dive where he landed on his head on the ramp and split himself open above his eye. Really nasty cut. and also separated one of his ribs. I can't remember the actual medical technical term for it, but he separated one of his ribs, which like later on in the match you saw like around his rib cage was all red and bruised and stuff. Yeah. It later came out that he needed 8 stitches in the cut above his eye. Like it was nasty because it was all like jagged and stuff. Like it wasn't like a clean gash or anything. It was all like and that like I'm not sure if that was meant to happen in the sense that he was meant to land like that, or was he?
I don't think so. Jesus, no.
Yeah, because like Cody's like his dad now, where he's just like always bleeds his matches. So I'm just like, is he trying to, or is he like?
I think there might have been a spot where he was supposed to bleed or whatever. But I think they probably called an audible and made sure that he didn't lose too much more blood.
Like, the reason I know that it wasn't planned. Well, first of all, it was if it was planned, that was stupid to do, and also because like MJF literally like dragged the ref over, being like, "Is he okay?" kind of thing. Like, and like you see him constantly wiping Cody down, and like they're all like, even when he was over by the timekeeper or something, like the doctor was over there like wiping him down, you know. So like, I think they wouldn't have done that if it was a premeditated thing. But I suppose I'll just skip right to the ending. Like we went through like these highs and lows. Let me just find out something I never thought I didn't think I'd see. Jericho sold the Crossroads amazingly.
Yeah,
he full on spiked himself. It was class. I didn't think that.
He still got it, Chris. Really, there's still flashes of it. Yeah,
there actually is like, but So yeah, back and forth, some flurries from both parties. But the ending comes when Chris Jericho locks in the Walls of Jericho. I don't think they call it the Walls of Jericho. I don't think they can.
Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Well, like, I noticed that like Excalibur like immediately called it the Lion Tamer when it wasn't the Lion Tamer, and it made me think like, I don't think they, and JR never said it either, so I'm like, I don't think they can call it the Walls of Jericho. But
maybe I that's something that I haven't even thought of really. Can you own copyright over a move? Because like he still uses the code breaker and it's still called the code breaker.
I don't think they call it the code breaker either.
What do they call it?
I think they just call it like lung blower or like double knees or whatever, or like.
Really? I'm pretty sure they've used code breaker.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was just this match that it didn't. But anyway, Jericho locks in the Walls of Jericho, and Cody gets to the ropes, but then Jericho pulls him back and locks in the Lion Tamer. Really nasty. Go on, sorry.
Yeah. No, go on, sorry.
It's just like a really nasty Lion Tamer where he just proper like bent Cody's back and like started stamping on Cody's head, and it was just very, very nasty. And like, I thought maybe Cody was going to pass out, but next thing I saw MJF with the towel, and I was like, "No, you bastard! Don't you do it!" And like, I love the callback. I don't know if it was meant to be a callback, but I love like the kind of reference to Cody threatening to throw in the towel against for Kenny against Okada.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was meant to be a callback to that, but that's what I thought of anyway. Yeah. And but anyway, Cody's screaming and in savage pain, and Jericho's just stamping on his head and bending his back in all these horrible ways. And eventually, MJF throws in the towel. Referee Aubrey Edwards calls it off, and Jericho retains the title via technical submission. Is the listed finish. And now Cody, as of the stipulation of the match, can no longer challenge for the AEW World Championship. But it's what after the match. It's what happened after the match is what kind of got the world reeling. And so Cody's in the ring and MJF's in the ring, and MJF is crying his eyes out. He's like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. I was worried about you." And Cody looks so pissed off. He's like, he's shouting at like the timekeeper and the ref. He's just like, "I didn't tap. I didn't give up. Why did you stop it?" And he kind of looks at MJF, and it looks like he's gonna hit him or whatever, but he just kind of shakes his hand and he's just like, it's okay, whatever. And then MJF, you bastard, kicks him right in the groin. Low blow. MJF fully cements himself as a heel. He pushes Cody to the ground, shouts in his face, "My turn, my turn," and makes his way up the ramp. And MJF it's happened. One of the most obvious turns, like everyone saw coming, but like no one knew when it was going to come. That kind of a way. And
you know what I loved about this angle was that, like, they hooked him so much that even the most obvious of turns still shocked him, in the sense that like they weren't expecting it right there and then. I don't think, judging by the reaction in the crowd, because there was a genuine shock when he kicked him, and I loved it. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was probably the best moment of the night, and was probably one of the best moments in AEW so far. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was an excellent angle.
Yeah, I did too. Like, I enjoyed it. I was like, because I've been looking forward to it for ages, and now that it's happened, it didn't, like, it did live up to it did live up to my expectations, because I was like, okay, it's happened, and not only has he turned on him, he's cost him something that he's wanted. Like, he's cost him something so valuable in the AEW World Championship for life. Well, we'll see, but like, in theory. And then, of course, it was just added to when MJF's at the top of the ramp, and a fan, whether it was a plant or not is undisclosed. I
think it was a plant.
I think it was a plant. It was too perfect. It was too.
No, I don't think it was that. It was too perfect. I think the cameraman gave it away because the camera panned to the fan. If that was an actual fan, I don't think it would have.
That makes sense.
It would have happened, and plus, the fan was revealed to be an independent wrestler.
Oh, has it been? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I like, what independent wrestler would do that, because they know the ins and outs of the business. So, like, I'm assuming that was a plant. Which, it does enhance the thing, and it got people talking, but.
Yeah, no, I thought it was class.
If you're not trying to, like, having plants do that, you have to be careful with that, because it's like buying likes on Instagram. Like, it can be way too obvious if it's done wrong. So I think and it could tarnish your brand in that sense if you're going to be using plants, and not everything's going to be natural. So I think that's something they have to be careful with. Even if they go on.
No, go on.
But even if they want to use plants, then it can't be perfect, in the sense that the cameraman shouldn't pan to it. I don't think it should be acknowledged by the commentators. Stuff like that, I think it should be treated as if this was just a fan. And I think if it really happened, I think it'd be something they would have ignored more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, but like, and like, to be fair, like, it was, I think, added to it. I think it was the rare circumstances where, like, a plant works. I'm not the biggest person for plants. I think it's just a risky business. I think a lot of things could go wrong. Like, who's to say that? Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm just saying, like, imagine, the crowd were even more riled up because of the turn. Let's say MJF is the biggest babyface in wrestling, and no one suspects a heel turn, and next thing he turns heel on the other biggest babyface in wrestling, and like, it incites like absolute fury from the crowd, and one guy throws a cup at him, like a plant throws a cup at him with water in it. Like, who's to say that doesn't spark mob mentality, and everyone starts slobbing stuff at him, and it could happen, but like, like, obviously the conditions have to be perfect. So like, I think it is a risky business. It does come with risks. Plus, when you're putting someone into the crowd, into like you could describe the crowd as its own living organism of a thing. Like, it's a different kind of atmosphere in the crowd as it is to everywhere else in the arena. So like I think like putting someone in that it's just a small bit hard. It's a difficult thing to pull off, but I think they pulled it off well here. And yeah, I'm excited for Dynamite because I think we like I hope we get an MJF promo where it's just him just speaking his mind like for like 10 minutes, and it would be sublime. I think it would be absolutely brilliant. Because like I love when he goes on like heel rants. Like I think they're really, really good. So yeah, I'm excited for the feud because I think the feud is going to be 10 times better than the friendship. So yeah. And then finally we go to the main event, the unofficial main event, but the main event. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in a lights out match or an unsanctioned match or whatever you want to call it. And this match has sparked this probably has been the most controversial match to come out of the show. Because of its violence and its brutality and personally, it was my favorite match tonight. But I don't know what that says about me, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved every single spot. I loved every single bump. I love Jon Moxley as like, especially in these conditions where he like has to prove that he has to prove he's the purveyor of violence. He has to prove that he's a sick bastard. And when he has to prove that he's like one of the toughest people in the sport, when he has to like crawl through glass and fucking crawl out of barbed wire and, you know, take bumps onto wood and all that kind of crack. And like, I love Jon Moxley in these kind of conditions. Yeah. And I think Kenny Omega actually excelled in it as well. I think Kenny Omega proved that like it's just put another stat in his book as to why he is the best wrestler in the world, or you could say he's the best wrestler in the world because he can now do hardcore matches really well. So yeah, like there's too many spots to run down in this match, like because that's what this was. It was just like spot after spot. I'll start with you.
Go on.
No, go on.
No, I thought I had no problem with this match personally. In the sense that like I didn't think it was too violent or anything. I think that's just people complaining for complaining's sake. I get why people are saying it's not their cup of tea. I understand that type of wrestling isn't for everyone. But I don't even think it was the most violent match in AEW's history. I think the Joey Janela match was with Moxley was more graphic because you had the thumbtacks with bare feet and stuff like that. I don't know. I just don't get the whole thing where this was too much. I just didn't understand that. I think like you look at some of the barbed wire death matches that fucking ECW used to, you know, like it pales in comparison to some of those matches. So yeah. I don't get the whole.
Well, we live in a different world now, and like it's so people's tolerances I think have gone down drastically, and it has kind of diluted not just wrestling but kind of every form of pop culture, and but yeah, no, even still though, I thought it was a really good match. What I wanted to say was I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite spot of the match?
That is interesting. Like obviously the kind of most brutal spot of the match was the suplex off the stage into the pit of barbed wire. Yeah. I don't like spots like that in the sense that it's in kayfabe terms that doesn't make sense. You can just chuck Moxley off it. You don't have to put yourself through that. So something like that doesn't make sense to me, and I don't understand psychology-wise why it's done.
But visually, it was class.
Visually, it's visually impressive. But again, I don't understand the whole thing around that, surrounding that. But then again, in terms of which spots I liked. I love the spot where Kenny had the broom and he was over Moxley. He was like sweeping him with the barbed wire. That's really inventive. I thought that was really cool. Um,
Yeah, good.
Obviously the exposing the ring is something I thought was really cool too.
Did you hear Excalibur's call out to Kota Ibushi actually?
No.
When Kenny did the Phoenix Splash, he was Excalibur shouted like paying homage to the Golden Star, and like I was like another Ibushi reference, just like just making me more doubt that lifetime contract more and more, just being like
yeah.
My favorite spot of the match was when Kenny had the sharpshooter on Moxley and he had to crawl through the glass to get to the ropes and
that was cool as well.
I love that bit. When Kenny just face planted in the wood from the Phoenix Splash was just brutal. I think it was like the plainest spot, but brutal. Like, you know, if you kind of get me, like he didn't have to go through anything, but it just looked like it hurt so much. What else was there? I'm trying to think. I didn't like the mousetrap board thing.
Yeah, because I agree with you in the sense that the one thing about the mousetrap is that it doesn't make noise really, and it's just less impressive. One thing that confused me about this match was I know people complained that it was fucking violent enough, but I just don't see why they didn't bleed from the face. Like, that's a visual that I think all hardcore matches should have, and I think especially if you're going to put your body through the shit that they did, why not? It'd be a lot more of a more impressive visual if they just bladed, I think.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. But I suppose they kind of wanted to keep it like real in the sense that like it was like a fight, like in that I don't know.
Like they were beating each other up with barbed wire. Like I think no one would have gone, "Oh, that's unrealistic," you know.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I completely understand. And I think, and that's the thing. It's kind of something you expect to see. Like it's kind of like you kind of like, why aren't they like when they're bleeding from their back and whatever? Like, oh, okay, next step is bleeding from the face, and they just if they just don't, you're just like, wait, what? What? Like what? But what else is going to say? But the thing about the mouse traps is like in my head, right? Like I've caught my finger in a mouse trap before, and like it hurts, but it's not that bad. It's you're not going to lose your finger or anything, like, you know. So like in the grand scheme of things, when you're getting like thrown through a table and thrown through broken glass and like thrown into barbed wire and like, you know, being hung over the ropes with a chain and like all that combined, and like you get pushed into a few mouse traps, like when they're not even catching, like they're literally just pinching you. They're not like it's not like it's hanging on to you. It's not like he got up and there was a bunch of mouse traps hanging off him. Yeah. I think that's not as good of a visual, or like I didn't find it as like realistic. Like I love like when Jimmy Havoc incorporates like, you know, Lego into his matches, because everyone knows what it's like to stand on a piece of Lego, and everyone knows that sucks. Yeah. So like, or like paper cut between the fingers, like everyone knows that hurts like a bitch. So, but like in my head, I've never been pushed into a board of mouse traps, but I've caught my fingers in mouse traps, and it's fine. Like I'd probably go ow and then be grand, you know. So that kind of took me out of it a small bit. Also the other thing about the kind of barbed wire frame thing, or barbed wire bed, or whatever you want to call it, like when Kenny was like to the Bucks and Hangman, like, oh, bring it out, and the Bucks and Hangman were like, no, Kenny, no, it's too far, whatever. And literally 2 minutes later, they turn around and bring it out. And then when they both went through it, they were like, oh my god, like, no, Kenny, please, no. And they're trying to pull him out of it, and they're like, well, you brought it out, you didn't have to. Yeah. Like you didn't have to bring it out, really. So that kind of took me out of it as well. But like, I still really enjoyed the match, and I still thought it was really fun. And like, Moxley winning as well, I thought was the right call too. So
yeah, I think Moxley winning was the right call. And yeah, I thought it was a good match, and I didn't. I get why it's not people's cup of tea, but I don't get why people were complaining about it either. I didn't think it was over the top violent either.
Like I said at the start of the show as well, like, if this isn't your cup of tea, like there was something on this show probably for you. Like every match brought to the table,
But I can only imagine like people lord and fantasize about the Mick Foley Undertaker Hell in a Cell match. But like, could you imagine if that happened in this era?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Like, if you can't love one match, or even if I'll go even in a closer generation, like Mick Foley against Edge at WrestleMania 22 was a lot more brutal than this match.
That's my favorite hardcore match of all time.
I think so too. I love that match, but it's a lot more it's a lot more brutal than this match.
Like it just goes to show, like, kind of like the kind of world we live in now. Like, I first saw that match when I think I was 9. I first saw that match, and like I loved it. I thought it was the best thing ever. I thought it was so cool. And like, keep in mind, I was 9 years old when I saw that.
Yeah.
And like, if you were to show like your common 9-year-old nowadays, you probably get thrown in jail for harassment. And like, that's the thing, like, but yeah, like, that's in the terms of, like, if you put it in hardcore history, it's not that brutal, like, but it was still fun. It was still great fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Full Gear. Like I said, like, there was no bad matches on the card. There was something for everyone. There was every match brought something different, and a solid pay-per-view overall. And we'll see where we go from here. We don't know when the next AEW pay-per-view will be. Presumably, I say it'll be in the new year.
Is it not that Jacksonville show?
No, it's not. It's not a pay-per-view. It's an episode of Dynamite, but it's like, it just so happens to fall on New Year's Day. So I think it'll be like, it's plus they're billing it as like their homecoming event, so it'll be like this big special thing. I think it's on.
And plus, it's a year since the show was announced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that will be like a big show. All right, like, I think that'll be like one step up from a Dynamite and one step down from a pay-per-view kind of thing.
I think the Jericho Cruise is in January as well, and I think he's teased that either a Dynamite or a pay-per-view is going to come live from that show, or from that boat.
I for some reason, on like, this is now according to Wikipedia, like, you take that with a pinch of salt, but like, on their thing, it has like the list, like the chronology of AEW pay-per-views, and the next one after Full Gear is Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea Part 2, the second wave. So
sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
Sounds like a straight to DVD movie.
Yeah, Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea Part 2, the second wave. That's fucking brilliant. I love that. I love Jericho so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Full Gear. And yeah, we'll let you know when the next official pay-per-view gets announced, but I don't think it'll be for a while. So yeah, anything you want to talk about in the world of wrestling?
Well, there wasn't much happened in WWE this week, really.
We had the Manchester shows, SmackDown and Raw, M&A, Manchester, England, which is an annual thing. Trying to think. Bray Wyatt attacked Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. That was, for me, that was the biggest thing that happened. Well, the New Day won the SmackDown Tag Team titles as well. They're now 7-time Tag Team champions, which is grand. Like, but whatever, they always win them. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, attacked Daniel Bryan, and I'm so excited for this. I cannot wait for this.
I love that he's doing the callbacks too. That, like, I love that they're consistent with he's attacking the people that have wronged him in the past.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who he could face next. I like Roman Reigns is one that comes to mind straight away. I'm trying to think of who else is on SmackDown. Braun's there. You could argue Braun.
Yeah.
Who else is there? I just want Cena. Cena's the one I want the most.
Yeah, Cena's the one that wronged them the most, I think.
Yeah.
Cena, like you could argue Rock if they really wanted to go there.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Undertaker. There's a hell of like, he's been wrong so much. Fucking Dean Ambrose, come on, bring him back.
Bring him back. Say one more match.
Like he got Balor. He's
New Day. The New Day. Kofi.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it just sums up how much he's been wronged in the past.
I was going to say Randy, but he's on Raw now, and like
I think it easily switch him up.
I'd want that just to watch, just to see the Fiend kill Randy Orton, just to erase all memory of the House of Horrors match. But yeah, no, that was probably the biggest thing for me coming out of SmackDown, and of course, the New Day are your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, winning those titles for a 5th time, and now 7-time champions overall. And then last night on Raw, we got what did we get on Raw? We got what people are calling the worst segment of 2019. So it's that time of year again where we come across the worst segment of the year, and it was Lana revealing that she's pregnant with Rusev's baby. But then I think it was a ruse the whole time, that it was like, oh wait, no, she wasn't. It was just a big thing to get the jump on Rusev while Lashley attacks him. So that's up there now with the old Bailey, This Is Your Life. What was it?
Bobby Lashley's sisters.
Bobby Lashley's sisters. I know. So I'm trying to think of it. We're in 2019. Was Bobby Lashley's sisters last year?
Yeah.
So 2018 it was Bobby Lashley's sisters. 2017 it was.
I think 2018 had Bobby Lashley's sisters and Bailey, This Is Your Life.
No, Bailey, This Is Your Life is 2017.
And what was the All Day 2017 as well, or was that 2016?
No, All Day was 2016, because that was like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows' first feud when they came back, and like it was when Gallows came back and Anderson debuted, and I think they couldn't figure out like how to do them, and so they tried to make him like, oh yeah, that was 2016. It was 2016.
Okay.
So yeah. And also we got Walter on Raw, which is class. Took on Seth Rollins, which then divulged into a multi-man match with Imperium taking on the team of Seth Rollins, the Street Profits, and Kevin Owens. Nothing major. But we also got Team Raw was revealed for Survivor Series. So Survivor Series is Sunday week, so a week from this Sunday. And we know now that we're going to get a two 5-on-5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination tag team matches, one for the women, one for the men.
Yeah, that's going to be a fucking train wreck.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to play out. I'm kind of excited, but I'm kind of worried as well. And we know that Team Raw for the men is going to be Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton, which is about as strong as a team as you can get. That's a solid team. Team SmackDown for the women only has 3 members currently. They are Sasha Banks, Dana Brooke, and Carmella. We don't know the other 2 members, and we're not aware of anyone else on any other team. And we also got the announcement of one more match for Survivor Series, and it is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Roderick Strong, the 3 mid-card titles, which is going to be fantastic. That's in my head, that's stealing the show, that match.
Yeah.
I think either that match or the tag team match with the Viking Raiders, New Day, and Undisputed Era are going to steal the show.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it because you're getting matchups that weren't even seemed to be possible 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
And I'm really glad that the Fiend is staying away from. The Fiend is staying away from Thing, and Brock Lesnar is too. So what's the story with Adam Cole?
See, this is what I want to say to you, right? So, obviously we know what Team Raw is for the men, and it's Rollins, Owens, McIntyre, Ricochet, and Orton. We don't know what Team SmackDown is yet. Presumably, we might find that out on Friday. I'm not sure. But in my head, Team SmackDown is going to be Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, Ali, Chad Gable / RTG, and The Miz. That's my Team SmackDown, I think. And NXT, I think, is literally going to be the War Games team. Like, it's going to be Ciampa, Lee, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and whoever they pick as their fourth guy, versus. But I think the fifth guy in that team will be Adam Cole, and it'll be like.
They coexist.
Yeah, but it'll be like, I think it'll be Adam Cole with like Ciampa, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and like maybe Johnny Gargano, and like then you have like Adam Cole with 4 baby faces, and Adam Cole trying to like boss them around and stuff, and like it could work. Like it could be really, really good, I think.
Okay.
But judging off it now, I think SmackDown has the weakest team by far. And it hasn't even been announced yet, and I know for a fact SmackDown's going to have the worst team.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Do you think we're getting Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend at Survivor Series, or do you think they'll wait?
I hope they do. I don't like about Survivor Series the last couple of years that every match has been brand warfare. So I like that. Like you do Lesnar. I like the idea of doing Lesnar and Mysterio and doing The Fiend and Daniel Bryan to break the brand warfare up.
I agree.
Having stakes, because I think that's like what happens in these Survivor Series is that like the brand wins and then everything just goes back to normal. Like there's no real stakes in Survivor Series, which kind of lessens the interest for me in wrestling, when there's no real stakes. So I think I think when there is still 2 title matches, then I'll put up with the brand warfare then as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I was actually thinking about it today, that like I love, like, it's so funny because we talked about it before. Like, obviously the WWE, like we've talked about how the WWE on Fox Twitter guy, whoever runs that Twitter, is just a massive mark, and he's just like constantly tweeting out these things. And I remember he tweeted out something like someone, or like Raw tweeted out that like, oh, NXT have the Undisputed Era, but we have a beast, or we're phenomenal, or something like that.
Yeah.
And like WWE on Fox tweeted back going, well, we have a Fiend, or something like that. And I was like, I remember thinking, being like, I really hope the Fiend doesn't get involved in this brand warfare thing, because why would he care? Like, why would he care? But then it was like, it's a bit of a paradox. I'm like, I want him to not care that he's on SmackDown, but then like he obeys the brand split rules because he got drafted there, and then like, I hope he doesn't go to Raw. I want him to stay on SmackDown and only wrestle SmackDown guys. So it's a kind of a paradox, but like, I really don't want the Fiend to get involved. I think that, and same with Brock. Like I think Brock is a guy who like genuinely doesn't care that he's on Raw. And I think that was shown in that first episode of SmackDown after the Saudi stuff, where he was like, he literally just quit SmackDown because he wanted to go beat up Rey Mysterio. Like it means that little to him. So yeah, like I really hope that the Fiend, like I really hope he either wrestles Daniel Bryan or just doesn't wrestle at all. So yeah, definitely. But we'll talk more about Survivor Series and NXT Takeover War Games next week, because they are happening next week. So we will predict and run down the cards next week.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything?
No. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So we leave it there.
We'll leave it there. Like we said, it's been a quiet enough week for news so far. But like I said, we will be back next week to predict Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver War Games 3. And they're going to be 2 phenomenal cards. So can't wait for that. And yeah, I suppose that's been us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in 3 weeks in a row. And tune in next week to make it 4 weeks in a row. The streak continues. And thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening. And there you go.